Welcome to the next podcast of Millinery.Info. I'm your host, Lauren Ritchie. Thank you so much for joining me today for this episode of Millinery.Info, where we welcome leaders from across the millinery industry into our ears and studios. Today, I'm very excited to bring you the winners of the Millinery Association of Australia Design Award. The format today is going to be a little bit different because we have had the honour of hearing from winner Rebecca Scher before, and also second place Tracey Tau in recent episodes. So if you haven't listened to those episodes before, I suggest you head back in the feed and find those. For Rebecca, you can hear about her millinery story and also her business hat atelier. And for Tracey, she was in one of our recent episodes sharing with us about her new acquisition of the Essential Hat. We also welcome Angela Sullivan to the episode as well, who received third place. I'd like to take a moment to thank our wonderful Patreon podcast supporters for their support of this series and making this episode possible. Jennifer Hertz Millinery, the Millinery Retreat School of Millinery, Hatblocks Australia, Hat Academy, Hatters Millinery Supplies, House of Adorn, Judith M. Millinery Supply House, Hats by Lego, Lifted Millinery, Louise McDonald Milliner, Millinery Australia, The Hat Magazine, and Barcelona Hat Days. You can find a link to each of these businesses in our show notes. That's either on the podcast app you're listening through or across on our website, where you'll also find some images and photos that go along with the episode. Thank you so much for listening today. I'd like you to take a moment, if you'd like to show your support, to head across to our Patreon page. You can find a link on our website and also in the podcast app as well. I hope you enjoy this episode today. Thank you so much for joining me on the podcast, Rebecca. It's wonderful to have you back on the podcast series.
Oh, thanks for having me, Lauren. It's lovely to be back on Millinery.Info.
Well, we get to chat today because you made a beautiful piece for the Millinery Association Design Award, the theme celebration. When you saw that brief, what came to mind for you?
I think the first thing that comes to mind is I want to create something that others aren't going to create. So I guess when I start the brainstorming process, it's okay, so what are the most common things? And so I kind of list those in my head and go, all right, so I don't want to do, not to put other people's designs down because everyone interpreted it completely different. And although they might have been fireworks, my gosh, they were just amazing how they were interpreted in totally different ways, like coming off the Eiffel Tower. It was incredible. But for me, it's like, oh, okay, well, I don't want to do that because that might be getting done. And so it's a process of elimination of I want to do something amazing, but I don't want to be doing what everyone else might think to do. So, so I guess when it came to celebration, I guess along with the write-up I did about my piece was balloons were such a huge part of, and they are a massive part of parties. It doesn't matter if it's weddings, engagements, births, the whole works. Like they are just celebrated and used for celebrations. Worldwide, universal, and and I just sort of started to think about the parties that my mum had, and I guess put two and two together. And mum used to always say to me, "Oh, pigs fly, Rebecca," and that was just a common thing that I heard all the time from her. And so I just sort of thought, well, I just want to do something that's ties the two in. And then I just sort of had this brainwave idea at 4 a.m. one morning, and I leapt out of bed and started trying to find blocks. It was only 2 days before it was due, mind you. That's how I roll. And and I just sort of thought, I want to do a pig, but it's going to be a flying pig, and make it look like a helium balloon. So that's how I kind of came up with the concept.
Well, thank you, Mum, for her inspiration, it sounds like.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
And there were so many elements that went together into this very beautifully constructed pig. How did you start that process? How did you build out those elements?
Yeah, well, I mean, it was just, I was lying there in bed thinking, oh my gosh, okay, can I make this work? All I've got to do is go downstairs, go to my block cupboard, just see if I can find something, anything. What can I block on? And I just happened to find this beautiful, it wasn't really beautiful actually. It was just this bulbous kind of, it was like some sort of honey pot or something I bought from the op shop about 20 years ago for about 50 cents. And I actually nearly threw it out or gave it to someone a few months ago. And I thought, oh, that could work. But I needed the end filled in. So
Yes.
my husband got the bog filler, which is a building kind of thing, and sanded it and made it all perfect. So yeah, it was a case of me going, well, have I got the blocks that can kind of fit together in the perfect dimensions and size that I want this little pig to be? And once I found those, I was like, game on, that's it. And then it was just really trying to work out every element. And I literally had a list on my desk with little drawings. Okay, right, I need to do wings. What am I going to make those out of? And I was just dumping materials going, right, okay, they can be sequin film. Need to do ears. How am I going to do those? Like, what about the tail? And yeah, so there was just, and it's like the toenails, the eyes, like every single thing was made. So I just had this huge list and just kept working through it and creating all these different elements and pieces that sort of came together and formed the pig. So yeah, it was stressful.
But a masterpiece.
Yeah,
But
I know. It was yeah, I was just wrapped in it. And look, I think too, creatively, I mean, it was so challenging to make, but
yes.
also just something so left of field, like something I would not ever normally do. I don't really do big crazy. I like to be able to wear the hat to the races afterwards and have, have both boxes ticked. So it was really quite unusual for me to make something that really isn't going to get worn again. I might wear it one day if
Wild time.
I'm crazy, yeah. But yeah, so it was a really unusual piece, and I just know when I was boxing it up to send in, I just thought, yeah, you know what? No judge is going to guess that this is mine. So I was like, tick. That'll fool them, and yeah. So I was I was wrapped with it in the end. Yeah.
Did you have all the materials on hand, or you were kind of limited by time that you had to use things you had? How did you approach picking the
No,
materials?
I literally have a supply shop here. Yeah, and I think I've got a bit of I don't know what you'd call it, obsession or whatever, with buying materials and storing them just in case I need them. And then I can't just get one, I've got to get 10 of everything in every color. And so all these drawers and cupboards behind me are just stashed full of materials. But one thing I will say is Voltrad Reiner, who taught me the first year of millinery back in 1997, I remember her saying, never throw anything away. Never, even if it's a little piece of cinnamon or straw, never throw it away. And you'd be surprised how many times you just need the tiniest little bit of like pink straw for that pig. And yeah, so her words ring in my mind quite a bit. And yeah, so even though, yes, I do have a lot of new materials, I have a lot of scraps as well. So yeah, so I had everything here. I didn't need to buy anything, thank goodness. But yeah, it's just that improvising, isn't it? And going, okay, well, I haven't got that. So what am I going to use now? What are we going to do? And it's just that thinking. And I was thinking like 10 steps ahead. Okay, so right, I need to make those wings, and how are they going to attach, and all of that. So it's like this whole process that my mind was going a bit crazy. So anyway, I was having a bit of wine and just making it work, lots of coffee and
Direction.
yeah.
But it's such an engineering feat because like the proportions work so well. The little nose on that bulbous body, the
Yes.
tail, all the parts could just
Yeah. Well,
came
that
together.
nose actually with a tiny little dish that it's just a little dip bowl, or like for, I don't know, olives or something. And I was just going through my cabinet in the dining room, like rifling through the house. What can I use? What is it? I'm in the pantry looking for everything. Going, I've got to just block on something. And I found this little bowl, and it had this like little ridge on it. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is perfect. And so I sort of steamed the straw and just pulled it over and pegged it and then stiffened it, and it just worked. I was wrapped. So you don't have to use wooden hat blocks. You just got to make use what you can find in the house sometimes.
Was there a moment when you're like, I'm not sure if she's going to come together, or you're like, I'm just committed to making this little piggy come together?
Yeah, I think I actually, to be honest with you, I spent the entire day before, about 14 hours, non-stop working on a completely different concept, and went to bed at midnight. And I was just pretty much, I'm just going to give up and I'm not going to send anything in. It didn't work. And like in my mind, it was going to be amazing. But yeah, I was just going against the grain of what the materials would do for this particular design. So I actually went to bed and going, oh, that's it, you know, it's not going to work. But once I found those two hat blocks and how they fit together, I knew that I could do all the componentry to make it work. So once I saw that, I was like, yes, this is it. Yes, I was just kind of, I guess that comes down to, I'm not arrogant about the work that I do, but I'm confident with the techniques and how much I've learned over nearly 30 years of hat making and what I know that materials will or won't do. And yeah, so I was just trying to find materials that would look amazing, that I mean, look, as I said on the night of the gala, I spent 6 hours just making the ears, and they were challenging. And I kid you not, they were so hard to make, but I knew I wanted them to look a certain way, and I just spent so much time on them. But yeah, look, it was just a case of doing each little piece, little component along the way. But yeah, once I found those blocks, I was like, yes, that's it.
Girl. And you got to be at the gala. How was that experience?
I was a bit sick, actually. I feel
Oh, no.
yeah, I didn't know until a few days later that I had the influenza A flu, so everybody. But oh, I was so sick. So that's anyway. It was a beautiful night. But I probably didn't enjoy it as much as I probably should have. But my gosh, I was blown away. The building at the bank was amazing, absolutely stunning. It was set out so well. I got to go around and have a look at all the hats up close, which was just beautiful. The talent in the room was just amazing, and it blows me away where everyone just comes up with something completely different. So yeah, I mean, and I love it. I love going up to other people's designs and looking, oh, how did they do that? That's amazing. Look what they've used there. And they looked so much better in real life too, you know, like I'm like, oh wow, look at the shine on that. So yeah, it was amazing. And the other part of it is catching up with everyone. That was the first gala I've ever been to, and I don't go to a lot of the events, and occasionally the Melbourne races, but yeah, it was just so nice to catch up with milliners, and you just felt the support in the room, and that everyone was just cheering everyone on, and yeah, just amazing. So it was beautiful, and yeah, and a bonus, of course, yeah, to win. So it was really nice.
Did you have any of your Hat Atelier students in the student section?
Yeah, I did. I had Leona was in the student section. Also Pam Kelly. Pam came third, which was amazing.
That's so exciting. And to be in a room full of to see everyone's work is such an exciting night. And to be there in person when you won would have been so special.
Yeah, it was. It was yeah, it was amazing. And oh, look, to be honest, of course everyone wants to win the design award, but for me it was like, oh my gosh, I just want the patrons pick. I really just want that recognition, and then I'll be just so happy. And I actually bumped into Chris Mullane that afternoon, and she said, oh, I'm announcing it, and she said, oh, if I say I knew it, because she said, I think you've got it, she said, if I say I knew it, then you know it's you. And she did, and that's why I kind of laughed when she announced that. So yeah, so I mean, look, honestly, that was just amazing, and yeah, just so nice to have the recognition of him, you know, choosing it, which was lovely. And then of course to win was just incredible, and couldn't top off a better night. I was absolutely wrapped, and it makes all those hours that you spend sitting there working on ears for 6 hours and all the rest totally worth it. So yeah, I was absolutely thrilled. Yeah.
Very exciting. Yeah, first and the Jones. It's a very, very big night.
Yeah, huge. Yeah.
Will we see another pig in your future?
Another pig? No, probably not. No.
Just a one-off.
Just a one-off pig, because someone actually did want to order one, or two people did, someone from the US, and then a lady in New South Wales messaged me because they own a pig farm, a piggery, and yeah, so, but I sort of like up the price big time because it took forever. Yeah, and it kind of scared her, I think. So if she wins Tat Flotto, she'll probably buy one, but then she won't need it because she won't have the pig farm anymore. So yeah, no, I don't think I would, but I actually think I'm going to do a little bit of a series of balloons. So funny story, my girlfriend is having her 50th in January next year in the Gold Coast, and she said, oh, it's a dress up party, and I don't really dress up parties. And she said, oh, it's a K party for Kylie K. And I was like, oh my goodness, what am I going to wear? And I thought, I'm just going to make a headpiece that's a kite with the string hanging down. So I'm like, I can wear a nice dress and then a headpiece, but everyone else will look like idiots, like kiwi fruit and kangaroos and all that. But anyway, yeah.
You look fabulous and a beautiful headpiece.
Yeah, that's right.
And the piece you wore on the night was a beautiful series of floating balloons. Did you make that especially for the night, or were there balloons happening in your life elsewhere already?
No, I just went, I'm going with the balloon theme. I want to do hearts because I knew I was wearing a navy dress. So the week before, I was emailing Daryl Osborne saying, Daryl, I need a little hat block. I love heart hat block. Oh, the poor thing. So, yep, he whipped that up and shipped it over to me. And I was blocking like a maniac because it was only a half. I thought he was going to do 2 halves. So I'm like, oh, Daryl. So anyway, I was, had the oven going and, just blocking. But of course, I was not feeling well, but so I was sewing all these hearts in bed and anyway, so I just wanted to make something special because, God, for so many years when I go anywhere, I just like usually spring racing carnival, I've just been so busy making everyone else's. Literally in the morning, I go, oh, I'll just put that headband on. And I was like, right, I'm going to actually make an effort for this event because it's milliners galore. So, so I made that love heart headpiece.
Made something for you. It was very sweet. It was a gorgeous piece.
Yeah.
And very on theme to the pig.
Yeah.
Well, it's been so fabulous to get to hear about your winning piece. Congratulations on first and the Jonesy. A great year and a fabulous showcase of your work.
Yep.
Thank you for joining us again.
Yep. Thanks, Lauren. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much, Tracey, for joining me again. It's so wonderful to welcome you back to the podcast to celebrate your winning piece. Congratulations on your prize for the Millinery Association Design Award.
Thank you, Lauren. It was an absolute delight, I've got to say, because it's only my 3rd year in the Design Award, and I managed the top 10 in the first time round, and I thought, oh, I'm good at this. And then year 2 in Sydney with Pearl. We all went up to Sydney, and that was a great event and worthy winners there too. But then to actually get a place this time round and a mention from the Honourable Stephen Jones was absolutely delightful.
It's amazing. So your piece came second. Could you tell us the name of your piece?
It was called We're Off to Paris. In fact, I should have it with me so I can refer to it. Just a sec. I'll wander back and get it.
So when you first saw the theme was celebration for this year, what came to mind? What was your process from there?
Well, I had made a jacket about 20 years ago that was like a crop jacket and in silk or dupion silk, and it was covered in fireworks and streamers, and across the back it had a big masquerade mask and things, and it was an absolute work of art. And I thought, aha, I know, I'll do something with fireworks and I'll wear the jacket and it'll look fantastic. Well, move forward a couple of decades and who knew, but the jacket wouldn't fit me anymore. So, but by that stage, the thought of the fireworks were well stuck in my head, and I had to find a way to make the fireworks work. And at first I'm thinking, what am I going to do? And I'm thinking, crown and brim something or other and fireworks around the crown. And I thought, that is just going to look so daggy. So one night when I wasn't sleeping, which is quite often sometimes, the idea of the Eiffel Tower came to me. That was fantastic because it meant then I had a structure that I could work on and fit it in beautifully with the celebration concept, because I was celebrating a trip I had in 2024 with my daughter and my 4 longest serving, or as I say, longest suffering girlfriends that I've known for most of my life. So, of course, there was going to be an Eiffel Tower and there was going to be a fireworks, but it was my celebration of this wonderful trip that the 6 of us had, and we'll remember hopefully for as long as our days go.
It's amazing. For those, we'll share a photo of your piece, of course, but for those that can't see it at this exact moment, could you give us a bit of a description of what it what the piece looks like?
Well, I've always loved working with wire, and I knew that I would be doing the tower out of wire. I had to make it symmetrical, which, I knew I wasn't going to be able to freehand something and definitely have it symmetrical. So I thought I need a template to work off. So I grabbed a piece of particle board from the garage and set about drawing a template down onto the particle board, and then put some screws in it at specific points where I knew I needed to pivot the wire so that I could get nice sharp sort of bends and things, because anyone who knows with like the heavy duty millinery wire, she doesn't bend. It's not very friendly in the bending department. So there was a bit of brute force required when you were trying to make sort of short, sharp right angles and things. So, but once I had the template done, I knew I could sort of construct each side, four sides of the tower, pretty much in a regular formation, and then strap it all together to make the shape of the tower. And then, there was a little bit of add-on onto that to make the balcony at the lower level. But wire works, it's fun, but when you start to get intricacies with gaps between wires, and then you have to wrap it, the whole thing is wrapped in black embroidery thread. And I've got old arthritic knuckles these days, and it was an absolute killer wrapping, because you've got to keep the tension on the thread as you're going. And yeah, my poor thumbs, they still haven't quite forgiven me for the trouble. And then, of course, to wear to the design award, to the gala, I made another wire work flowers, which was all wrapped in embroidery thread as well, which meant I was barraging the hands a little bit more. But yeah, so then the rest of it, the glitter, I got the glitter online. It's a great holographic glitter, and it sort of changes colours from reds to purples, greens to blues. But it's a bit different to your normal craft glitter that you get at Lincraft or Spotlight. And I found that online, and then I set about with the fishing line and started to make all of these strands with the glitter on them. And then I realised it looked terrible because I was using clear fishing line. So then I thought, I need black fishing line. Do you know you can't buy black fishing line in Australia? Well, I couldn't find it anyway, so I had to get that from China as well. So there was times when I thought, I hope this stuff arrives in time to get it finished, to get it in the post in time. So I spent a lot of time dipping strands of fishing line into glue and then dipping that into the glitter, and then I've still got glitter in the strangest of places around my house. Glitter gets in everything. So, I'll open a drawer in the kitchen and there's glitter in. So, but it was fun to do, and it really did. It spoke to me from the whole Paris trip. Nothing says celebration to me like fireworks. But at the end, was really happy with it, and I loved the way it looked. And here we are with a second prize to go with it. So I couldn't have been happier.
That's amazing. Have you done a lot of wire work of this style before this piece?
When I was at Kangan and we did Cert 2, I couldn't wait for Cert 3 because I knew we did wire work. So, and I've had a bit of a, I suppose a passion for it, because I think you can, basically with wire, you can create any shape you like. And my first piece that I did for the Design Award back in 2023, that would have been, was a fish. And the fish was all a wire cage that then got attached to a small button and things. But that was for the ruffled competition. But, yeah, that was a wire work cage. And as I said, I think it just allows you to create any shape you can dream up, and especially when you're trying to do curves in an animal shape or something or other. And yeah, I love it. It's not my go-to, of course, but when it comes to when you're trying to create something that's a bit different, I think wire work just gives something another level again, apart from standard millinery construction.
Absolutely. And how was the gala evening? You were there in person at the bank on Collins.
It was wonderful. Look, it was funny because at the end of the night, I was on a high, of course, because of having attained my second prize, but the whole room was abuzz, and there was a couple of new milliners in the student area, both of whom placed very well on the night, and just having some younger enthusiasm in the room was really heartwarming, and and everybody spoke to everybody, and everyone welcomed, embraced the newbies that were there on the night. And at the end of the night, I had chatted to a couple of people, and they'd all said what a wonderful night it was. And one person's husband said, "Oh, I didn't want to come. I thought it'd be all stuffy and boring." He said, "I've had the best night." And he said, "Everyone's been so welcoming." So I think the committee would have to be very proud and very delighted with the outcome of the night. I know we've already penciled in a date at the bank for next year, because they've done such a great job, and they're easy to work with, and it's we're on a roll here. Let's not jinx anything. So it was a really lovely night.
Congratulations. Thank you so much for sharing with us about your piece. And for those who haven't heard more of Tracey's story, head back and listen to our original episode with her, and you'll get to know the backstory behind some of her work. Thank you so much again, Tracey.
Hope I don't bore everybody too much. Thanks, Lauren. Thanks, my love. Bye.
Thank you so much for joining me on the podcast, Ange. It's wonderful to have you as part of the Millinery.Info podcast series.
Thank you very much for having me.
Could you take us back to the beginning of your introduction to millinery?
I started my millinery journey when I first arrived back in Australia. We had lived overseas as expats, and I arrived home to Brisbane, which wasn't my actual home. I was originally from Melbourne, and I had 3 kids, and I had a son who had severe special needs, Max. He's non-verbal. He's now 16, and has created a lot of challenges in our family. And I think I needed to make a bit of time for myself. And a girlfriend suggested I did a hat making class up in Toowoomba with her. And we did a 2-day hat making class. And my first hat I ever made, which is actually my favourite style hat, is a top hat. And she was beautiful. She was navy blue felt, fur felt, and she brought me so much joy. And then my girlfriend said, let's go back and do another 2 days. To organise this was exhausting, because my husband was going up and down to Gladstone, and I'm in Brisbane with no family support and 3 little kids. But somehow I started managing that. So my journey has been a very long journey, and I am definitely a part-time milliner wanting to be a full-time milliner.
Yeah, amazing. So what, from those first classes, were you hooked? What, the drive to create just kicked in?
Yes, the first 2 classes I did, I just fell in love. And so I came back to Brisbane and I started Googling where to make hats. And I found Queensland TAFE hat offers, still to this very day, which I'm actually signed up to do another class. They do 5 weeks classes. Her name is Robin, the teacher at Queensland TAFE, and she's amazing to detail. And so it's 5 weeks, and it's once every semester, an evening class. So I've done every class that Robin has had available probably for the last 8 years. I'm probably her biggest fan, and now we're actually really good friends. So it's lovely. And I've met some amazing women along my journey of millinery. So I feel very honoured to be in such a gorgeous little niche spot.
Amazing. What do you learn in these classes? Is it got some structure, or do you get to go along with some ideas, some skills you'd like to learn?
These days I go to catch up with Robin and also to use these amazing blocks that are at TAFE that they still have up in this gorgeous little room. And, you know, there's always a new skill she teaches me. There's something new with cinema or dyeing fabrics. Last time I was dyeing straws with her parasisals. So, and then matching the ribbons, and I hadn't touched on dyeing. So that was really a fun thing to learn. And we also dyed using different dye colours on silk abaca. So she covers all bases. So sometimes she'll offer a leather making class, a buckram class, she'll do straws, cinema, whatever, but every time is normally quite structured with some type of fabric. So this one coming forward is probably more spring racing, and we'll touch on cinema and straw. So it's great.
Oh, fantastic. That's such an amazing connection to have, and to be able to access that so frequently. It's definitely one of the challenges we're having here in Australia now, with the certificate for, and other certificate levels not being available. But those short courses are definitely filling a space.
Exactly. And thanks to also all the wonderful classes that are also on the internet these days, I think that's made a lot of newbies to the millinery really excited that they can participate and learn some wonderful skills from some amazing milliners.
Amazing. Have you taken many online classes yourself?
I have. I've done a lot of Hat Academy classes. I've taken Rebecca Shar's classes. Whose else's classes have I done? I've recently had a wonderful trip over to France for my 50th birthday. My husband and my mum gave me a class with Tracey Chaplin, and it was like going, if you're a love yoga, but I'm a milliner, so it was like a yoga retreat for a milliner. It was just amazing, eating delicious foods, learning new skills, meeting new women from all over the world, and having a passion for making hats. So it was wonderful.
Oh, how amazing. What a great birthday present. Well done.
It was the best 50th
Well done,
birthday
family.
present you could have ever given me. So I loved it.
That's fantastic. And you have your own label. Where do you work from? What's your client base like? Tell us a little bit about when your business started.
Okay, my business started probably about 6 years ago, and I tapped into, my girls go to a school just around the corner from where we live. And so I started tapping into the mums at the school. So the girls went to this wonderful school and tapping into Melbourne Cup days with them. And then I suppose it's been a very, very slow growth of business, because I'm actually a hairdresser working 2 days a week in a retirement village. And I love hairdressing because I love talking and catching up with people, and I'm a bit of a yapper. And so that's been something I've loved in my life, and I won't give up hairdressing ever. But having those extra days a week to myself now that my son is at school and now my girls are in their 20s and I have those more times to myself, I get into my little millinery room, which I share with Max, my son. He has one couch with the TV at one end, but he allows me to come in and make hats. And I say to him, I'm coming in, Max, and Mummy's going to make a hat, but I'm listening to the Wiggles and Thomas, why most mums or most other milliners are listening to probably some beautiful music. So I'm driven by the Wiggles in the back of my head. Thank you, Wiggles.
Thank you, Wiggles.
But yes, I have this space and it's just grown bigger and bigger and bigger. And I've now, the old toy cupboard is now where I store all my millinery, which is wonderful. And there's hats everywhere. And I've got half-made hats from here and there.
This is good. This is good. What was the first block that you acquired?
My first block I actually bought on Gumtree. And it was actually like a bit of a Jackie O big block that sits at the back of your head. And I'll be honest with you, I've only blocked it twice because the wood was obviously not great wood. So that was my first block I had. My dream block is a top hat block, which I keep going to TAFE and using their top hat block. But one a day I did ask for the top hat block as my 50th, but didn't realise I was going to France instead. So it was kind of like, oh, top hat block versus France. Yeah, the top hat block can wait for me.
I think France is a pretty good choice.
Exactly. I do like using crowns. I love all styles of blocks. Blocking has never been something that I found very it's always been quite tricky for me to block, but I think over the years it's just got easier. The more practice you have with any skill, you just get easier and easier. And I think with Robin, my TAFE teacher, and girlfriends who I've met along the way through TAFE in Queensland, it's just wonderful.
How would you describe the aesthetic or the style of hat you make for your clients or your brand?
I like something little bit alternative. I find it very hard not to make something very big and outrageous. Recently, I just competed this week at the ECA and won second on Fashions in the Field for my millinery. And I had created this very big out there hat, but sometimes I need to tell myself, not everyone wants to wear the outrageous, massive, big hat on your head. So to actually sell hats, I've got to bring it down a notch and say, okay, less is best sometimes, not more is better. Because I actually sometimes just make something That's outrageous. That's why I found that competition with Celebration right up my alley, because it was something a little bit quirky and a bit different. And I loved creating something out there.
Amazing. You've led us right to it. Congratulations on your very fun piece that you made for Celebration. It was awarded third place. Could you tell us a little bit about it when you saw the theme and got the brief? What came to mind for you?
Well, when I heard about it, it was very last minute that I was accepted into the Millinery Association. It actually was the day of the competition sign up that I was finally accepted into the Millinery Association, which I feel very honoured to be accepted into. And then I thought, okay, Celebration. So I went straight to balloons, and then I was looking at different ways I could make cinema balloons, like this massive big balloon on a head. And then I said to my husband, he said, well, think about what Celebration really means to you and what do we do as a family. And I have bunting for every occasion. I have made bunting over the years, and I have bunting with the kids' names on it, and everyone's room has got bunting in it. I've bought bunting in Mexico. You name it, I buy bunting or make bunting. And then I thought, okay, I'm going to create a hat with bunting on it. So I know this lovely man that makes blocks. His name's Ian. Does wonderful. He just makes a little crafty block. Anyway, he made this wonderful triangle block, and I went home and it was too big. So I did block 8 triangles, though, with Cinema, and they took me a very long time because you have to wait for it to dry and set before you take it off the block. So then it was a slow process, and then I had to get the block cut down. My husband said he would give it a bit of a go, but I asked Ian to cut it back down. So then I end up with these tiny little blocks. But once again, you start, when I made the bunting, because each piece of bunting has a front and a back, which I have blocked. And then I had to cut on the bias, make a bias strip and block that with the front on it. It was really tricky. And then I pushed the back into it. And then I had to use invisible stitching, and they took a very long time, my little bunting. So I was very, very happy when it all came together and I got to send it down to Melbourne.
It's beautiful. Could you remind us of the title of your piece?
It's called Party on the Lawn. And this hat, I feel that's probably my most favourite hat I've actually ever created. And I absolutely love it. And the colours are very me, and the style. But structurally, it took a lot of thinking about, and I know a lot of milliners would say this, half the battle for this hat was actually creating the structure for it not to be too heavy, not too big, not too cumbersome. And I had spoken to Rebecca Scher previously about her hats, and she said to me, with these competition pieces, it's got to be wearable. And I think that was in the back of my head. Someone's got to put this on and dance around the kitchen. So before I sent it to Melbourne, trust me, I was dancing around the kitchen. I was saying, yep, I can wear this girl. She's not falling off anytime soon. That's how it all came together.
Amazing. And you have some interesting textures in there with the green grass, I guess you'd describe it as. That's such an interesting material. Where did you find that?
So the green grass, I actually found, Harold is an old milliner supplier up here in Queensland that I think every milliner in Australia has heard of. And
Maybe millinery.
Yes. And I went to one of his, the last time he had the sale, and I bought this unusual stuff, and it's like a plastic raffia that was in like this ball thing, and then I just made little balls of it and I popped it up, and I got my hairdressing scissors out and I'm cutting it. So I'm actually texturizing this green plastic raffia on top of the buckram, because I had to sew each little. I created these little pom-poms and sewed all the individual pom-poms onto this hat. The hat is actually made of buckram, yes, which I'd blocked, and then I had covered it in a normal raffia, and I'd spray painted it so if you could see underneath it. If I didn't have enough of that plastic grass, that you could actually see green underneath it. But I did seem to have enough of it, and it spread out, and it just was really cute. So it was textured. And then I had these wonderful sticks that I had to stick on, but I actually sewed them in. Oh, the structure of it. She's got a lot of Yeah.
Sort of engineering.
It was in engineering, and that's what I said to my family. I felt like this hat was engineered, because you couldn't have it too heavy either because of the weight of it. I'd created a piece earlier in the year for this gorgeous guy. His name was George, and he was going down to the Mardi Gras. And I created this piece, and she was huge. She was nearly, I'd say, 60 to 80 centimetres high, and they were dancing down the street, and I covered it in a total of something like 88 feather flowers that I'd created, all different styles and colours and textured ones, and wound them onto this big wire frame. But he needed a chin strap and a back strap, and it was just too hard, but he did manage to dance. So I've got awesome video footage of George having a wonderful time.
With your hairdressing, do you feel that informs or plays a part in how you think about hats and their attachment to their head and that interaction?
A lot of people ask me that, and I'll be honest with you, probably not. As a hairdresser, I use some of the skills I have, I think, like texturizing the grass. But I think about the head shape of people's heads when you're creating things, and how their face, if it's a round face, a long face, what style hat would suit that personality. But I don't think hairdressing exactly has helped me. It's a skill that I've got, and I'm, very lucky to have such a, an old skill, because, there's not a lot of hairdressers going through these days. Yeah, but I still do love my hairdressing.
Yes, very creative. And it sounds like you have other textile making knowledge and background as well. I mean, the bunting production, for example.
That's just a mum making bunting. Well, I was an expat, and we lived in Qatar in the Middle East, and we were there for 9 years. And to start with, the first place we went to, we lived in a compound with about 10,000 people, and I lived in this massive big house. It was ridiculous. The houses are so big out there. To put in perspective, my daughter learnt to ride her bike in one of the rooms. Like, it was just ridiculous, the housing. But I started making bunting because, I just wanted to make everything pretty for the kids. And this was before I had Max as well. I think that was where my passion started, was having little girls and wanting their room to have bunting. And there was nowhere to buy bunting in the Middle East. A lot of the things you had to make from scratch. So, get on with it, Ange, and start sewing. Even though I'm not a great sewer, and I actually didn't even own a sewing machine up until recently, so I'd go and borrow a girlfriend's machine and make bunting at her place. So
very creative though, and to have that vision and your color knowledge as well comes through in the pieces you make as well.
Thank you. I do love color. I love anything bright. My husband feel like he goes to bed every night in Strawberry Shortcake Land because it's so colourful. And our kitchen is got polka dots with stripes. And I had made curtains at one stage, scalloped little curtains with frills on the bottom for my kitchen. My poor husband's very conservative, and I am a little bit alternative in my style of housing. And yeah, eclectic is a good word.
Contrast.
Yes, contrast.
Eka sounds such, for those who aren't familiar with Eka, it's the Brisbane Rail Show, which is a great showcase of craftsmanship and agriculture from the area. What sections did you enter, and did you create the pieces specifically for it?
So the Eka I've entered probably for the last 5 years, and I've got a couple of little certificates over the years. I've got a couple of little firsts in different sections, but this year I was really lucky. I actually got Best in Show for millinery this year. And
congratulations.
Thank you very much. And it was actually a top hat that I created at home using, those little old men's hats. What are those little boat, the brim, the boiler hats they used to wear?
Oh, the pork pie?
Yeah, and I had a little brim, and so it wasn't really a top hat. And so it's quite cute and small. And I actually wore it myself to Melbourne Cup, to a function, just a local function. And I created these unusual flowers that were quite, to me, I found inspiration from cartoon. It looked like a bit of a cartoon bouquet of flowers held together with a little ribbon. and they sat on the side of the top hat, but I was worried about the structure of this top hat because the parasisal is not as strong as you want it to be. And I had an old piece of parasisal, which so it's doubled parasisal top hat.
Oh, wow.
So I never actually had to make a lining for it because the inside of it was this old parasisal. So it looked really cute. So I was very happy that it came together so well, and it got Best in Show at the Ekka this year. So I also won a couple of other awards with the Millinery Association sponsors the Ekka. And so I got Best in Show, and I got a first and a third in the masterclass section, and in the cocktail part of the, like, one of the components was there's a cocktail theme, a spring theme, a masterclass theme, and a student theme. So I actually also came second in the cocktail theme, and I also got a highly commendable in the spring. So yes.
Look at you. Congratulations. That's so exciting.
Yeah, it was really exciting this year, and I love going. For the last 3 years, 4 years, I've competed in fashions on the field myself. I've decided to become a fashion model in my late 40s, now into my 50s, and it's only the only time I compete on fashions of the field is at the Ekka. And I feel comfortable at the Ekka on fashions of the field. And I normally try and find myself a gorgeous dress, and I think about it for about a year. And this hat that I created this year for fashions on the field at the Ekka is taken me about a year to actually make. I'd go back and forth to it. So I do love going to the Ekka. I take my mum and my daughters and all my girlfriends that can take a day off. They all come along there, all my cheer squad. So I always have lots of people cheering for me in the I'm not quite sure if that helps me or hinder. I'm not quite sure how that goes, but no, I feel very lucky to have them come along and support me at the Ekka.
Sounds like a very good day out together.
It is a wonderful day, and normally it's finished with a glass of champagne with my mum, somewhere having lunch with my daughters. So yeah, it's wonderful.
What a wonderful day to celebrate creativity and getting to showcase your work.
Yeah, and it's amazing to go and see how creative the shows, people with the quilting and the paintings and the cakes and all that type of stuff. So it's just wonderful, all the crafts that are out there at the Ekka.
What's on your workbench at the moment? What's the next project coming up?
My next project coming up is I'm going to try and make some hats that I can actually sell and not enter any more competitions, because I think that drives my family crazy, because I put a lot of thought into my headwear to wear for myself. So I now need to use some of the materials that I have. I need to stop buying some materials, and also use my new skills I've learned from Tracey in France using parasisal. I recently went down to Sydney to see my daughter who moved there this year. And of course I went to Hatters and spent some time in there with Catherine and bought myself some gorgeous parasisals. And now I keep looking at them and I think, okay, what can I do with this one? What can I do with that one? So I think it'll be something to do with parasisal and cinema moving forward in the next few months, coming in spring carnival, and making things that hopefully my regular customers who are just local ladies, which is gorgeous. I love being supported by local women. And also I sell some of my hats at the retirement village. A lot of my customers who I cut their hair, there's always a function on at the retirement village every year. It's a massive big, it's called Kingsford Terrace. And it's a massive big retirement village. And my mum actually lives there now. And so I often will have a little pop-up shop. I take cheaper pieces in, headbands and little cocktail hats. But I've got, I might sell 10 in there a year, but I'm very happy that they want to support me. I don't have a very big business because it's not my full-time gig. One day it will be, when I'm allowed to retire as a hairdresser.
It sounds like that might not happen either. So we'll just have to juggle both.
Exactly. I'll just be the part-time milliner and the part-time hairdresser, but my passion is actually millinery, and I would love to one day do it full-time.
It's amazing. Well, it's been so exciting to hear your story, and thank you for sharing about your winning pieces with us. And
I know.
So wonderful.
Oh, thank you very much for having me on your podcast. Really appreciate it. And I'm a huge fan, and I've been listening to it forever. So thank you very much.
Thank you for joining me for this episode. I hope you enjoy hearing from those 3 winners from the Millinery Association Design Award. Millinery.Info was proud to sponsor the competition this year and look forward to offering our support for future competitions as well. Thank you to our wonderful Patreon podcast sponsors. This episode series would not be possible without their support. Thank you very much to Hat Academy, Millinery Australia, Hatter's Millinery Supplies, House of Adorn, Judith M. Millinery Supply House, Hats by Lico, Lifted Millinery, Louise McDonald Milliner, The Hat Magazine, Hatblocks Australia, the Millinery Retreat School of Millinery, Jennifer Hertz Millinery, and Barcelona Hat Days. Please head across to check out these businesses in our show notes or across on the Millinery.Info website. If you'd like to show your support, we encourage you to sign up to become a patron of Millinery.Info. There are 2 tiers available for this. You could sign up for a small thank you to Millinery.Info, Millinery.Info, you inspire me, or if you'd like to hear your business name mentioned, a podcast sponsor. I'm your host, Lauren Ritchie. Thank you for joining me for this episode, and I look forward to talking hats with you again soon.